live in Tumbler Ridge are out of their homes. They are the latest to flee a rapidly moving wildfire in northeastern BC. The evacuation order issued suddenly yesterday. As Renee Filipponi reports, evacuees are hoping that a desperate firefighting effort is enough to save their community.
Aggressive, extreme, and intense. The West Kiskatinaw River wildfire moved fast and doubled in size overnight. Residents of Tumbler Ridge went from seeing smoke in the distance to an evacuation order in just hours Thursday. More than 2,000 fled to nearby communities. Angela Zimmer quickly picked up her 3-year-old twins from daycare and tried to explain what was happening.
So I actually showed them where the smoke was and what that meant, that there was a big fire coming. And they did this on their own accord. They started calling it a monster, and the firefighters and the fire trucks are going to go fight the monster.
She is watching updates closely, thinking about the community she loves.
I know that we could start our lives over elsewhere, but I really don't want to lose my home.
They have friends to stay with. Not everyone is so lucky.
I slept in my vehicle last night. The kids slept in the car with me, so there were 6 of us with 2 dogs and 2 cats in that SUV.
Fire crews and city staff who stayed behind shared this video of the community, and there is some cautious optimism.
Hopefully that wind will shift earlier than it is forecast to, but in the meantime, the area of concern continues to be the community of Tumbler Ridge.
This is the second time this year Dawson Creek has welcomed evacuees fleeing fires.
The most important is we get everybody healthy and we get them out of there. I mean, people can't be replaced, objects can.
There are also concerns about prehistoric artifacts. Thousands visit Tumbler Ridge every year to see the bones and fossilized footprints here. It's been recognized by UNESCO as a site of international significance. From BC's Premier, words of warning for everyone in the province about a fire season already off to an early and dangerous start.
Please use caution so that we can try our best to avoid a catastrophic fire season here in the province.
For now, it's a waiting game for residents of Tumbler Ridge, watching the forecast and hoping the fire spares their community. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Dawson Creek.
On the other end of our province, wildfire officials are sending 20 more firefighters to help battle an out-of-control blaze that has burned more than 2 square kilometers of forest on western Vancouver Island. They will join more than 60 firefighting personnel already on the ground at the Cameron Bluffs wildfire east of Port Alberni. Several air tankers, helicopters, and other pieces of heavy equipment continue to battle the blaze, which has grown to 208 hectares since it first was reported Sunday. It is a wildfire of note, which means it is highly visible or poses a threat to public safety. The BC Wildfire Service says cooler temperatures and light rain are helping, but the fight to contain it is far from over.
Noticeable growth to the east or to the west, and the majority of the growth has been again on the southern flank of the fire, which is up in the mountains away from the highway.
The fire is having an impact on those who work in the affected communities. Today, planes transported doctors and nurses from Qualicum Beach Airport to Port Alberni so healthcare staff could do the critical work needed to keep West Coast General Hospital running.
I thought they might cancel my shifts, but I got a text from my nurse manager and said, "We're flying you all over." Stay tuned.
At least 2 return charter flights a day are being paid for by Island Health to keep the healthcare wheels turning. But on Highway 4, no wheels will be turning until at least next week. The highway closure will remain in effect through the weekend with no word yet on when it may reopen. A Niska woman from Terrace was diagnosed with cancer this week after what she is calling was a frustrating years-long battle to be heard and get the care she needs. As Liam Britton reports, Lori Mercer believes the pain she went through before her diagnosis could have been avoided.
I was in so much pain, and I just wanted somebody to listen to me and do something about it.
Lori Mercer said she had to fight to be heard as a tumor slowly fractured her spine. This week, she was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a cancer that starts in white blood cells. She believes the trouble started long before that. In 2017, Lori had no family doctor, 5 walk-in or virtual clinic doctors told her white blood cell count was out of range. Little was done.
And I had asked a few times to be referred. Like, can we investigate this?
In late May, she had agonizing back pain. She made several visits to Mills Memorial Hospital in Terrace, insisting something was seriously wrong. The doctor wouldn't admit her for further treatment.
And I just said, I am your patient. You need to listen to me.
Finally, she was admitted. It was discovered a growing tumor fractured her spine. She was flown to Vancouver General Hospital for back surgery and to start cancer treatment. So how did the situation get so bad when a symptom was first detected 6 years ago? Well, for one thing, Lori didn't have a family doctor back then. She believes that if she did, they might have been able to put the pieces together and maybe get her cancer detected earlier.
I probably wouldn't have had a disc degenerate and fracture. I wouldn't have gone through all this pain.
But she also wonders if systemic racism caused some doctors to not take her seriously. Discrimination wouldn't surprise Farah Shroff. She's a UBC professor who researches equity in healthcare.
One of the most common forms of bias, implicit bias, or sometimes conscious, but usually implicit, is disbelief.
That disbelief leads to insufficient care fueled by stereotypes.
The stereotype for women often are that women are hysterical or too emotional, and so they take symptoms too seriously, and this assumption that Indigenous people are addicted either to alcohol or other drugs, and that whatever symptoms that they're experiencing are a result of an addiction and not a chronic or acute health problem.
Northern Health, which is responsible for Mills Memorial, did not respond to a request for comment. Lori, for her part, is just starting chemotherapy in Vancouver. Her husband has been keeping her company all this time, along with his music. Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
2 women have been found dead inside a home in Kelowna's Upper Mission area, and a 3rd person was rushed to hospital in critical condition. They were discovered after 9 o'clock last night at a home on Swan Drive. Police have not said how the women died or if anyone has been arrested. A man was found unresponsive at the home and is now being treated in hospital. A child was also found inside the home but was not physically hurt. The home is being treated as a crime scene and the deaths are considered suspicious. Police say it is not linked to organized crime. A tense morning for shoppers and staff at a grocery store in West Vancouver today after a car crashed into it. The fire department says crews were called to the Whole Foods at the Park Royal Mall and found the car about 12 meters into this produce section. One person was sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries while others were treated for shock. It's not clear what led to the collision, but police are looking into it. Marchers took to the streets in downtown Vancouver today, trying to raise awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous men and boys. Yasmin Gandam was there.
So we're here right now at this march for missing and murdered Indigenous men, boys, and 2 Spirit Plus people. And you can see behind me all of the marchers here, and they marched all the way over the Cambie Street Bridge, and they're making their way right now to Creekside Park. And let's chat with some of the people here, some of the marchers, and see why this is so significant for them. Why are you here today, and why is this important for you?
I'm here to remember my brother-in-law, Everett Jones. He went missing in Duncan, BC, right? And his mom is just so worried and wondering what happened to her son.
We see that they have this sign here, Justice for Charles Udi. Can I chat with you a little bit about what you're here for today?
He passed away September 6, 2015. They found him in a storm drain on near the P&E grounds. We've been researching and investigating on our own, trying to find out what happened, because we don't believe he died an accidental death.
And what would you hope that people understand from today, and to really raise awareness about these missing and murdered deaths?
The more we bring awareness, because when my son died, there's nobody. We felt all alone. I feel so uplifted seeing all these people and that our prayers are being answered and that we're being heard too.
Often we hear about no more stolen sisters. The signs here today saying no more stolen warriors, really trying to raise awareness about the significance about missing and murdered Indigenous men who are actually not included in the national inquiry into justice. And so we're going to talk to Curtis, who spearheaded this event.
This upside down canoe represents our brothers that gone missing and murdered. That's what this is, the upside down canoe. And this is the ocean. And the star is the creator. We're coming to reclaim them. That's why that canoe is here, to come and reclaim them. We're here because of the missing Indigenous women's work, their leadership, the matriarch. We're just following their lead. In fact, the woman said that. When are the men going to stand up? When are we going to start making our voices heard? And I humbly rose my hand and said, okay, sister, I got your message loud and clear. We're going to do our turn.
That's the CBC's Yasmin Gandam reporting. Well, if you're looking to take a trip to and from Vancouver Island this summer, you will soon have more options. Starting in August, a new foot passenger ferry will run between downtown Vancouver and downtown Nanaimo. It will cost adults between $40 and $60 for a one-way trip on Hullo Ferry. Hullo is run by a Vancouver Island ferry company in Victoria and plans to make the crossing in 70 minutes. The sculptor of the Chinatown Memorial Plaza monument is adding his voice to those concerned about BD Development's Kiefer Street condo project. Arthur Chang was commissioned to build the sculpture in 2003. He is worried that such a large, tall building does not belong in this otherwise culturally significant space. The Memorial Plaza is currently surrounded by the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Gardens and the Chinese Cultural Center, which he believes would be overshadowed by the new development. He spoke to us using a translator.
And what will happen is that this statue that I've created will become no longer the centerpiece of the square, but will become essentially like an add-on to this development. This historical monument will then become an ornament for this building.
Chang says he recognizes the area is in need of more housing and knows the development could bring more people to the neighborhood, which may help struggling businesses. But he hopes the city will consider other options for the empty lot that he thinks better fits the community. The UFC is returning to Canada for the first time since the pandemic began. Fighters will square off in the Octagon tomorrow night at Rogers Arena. 5 Canadians are on the card with hopes of making this country proud. Our John Hernandez spoke with a few of them who are embracing the pressure of competing on home soil.
Once I get into the cage, that's when I just start feeling peace.
Mike Malott says he's long been visualizing the moment he steps into the cage at Rogers Arena.
What it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like, what the air is going to feel like.
The Ontario-born fighter is one of 5 Canadians competing on Saturday, and the anticipation is building.
This has been a dream of mine my entire fight career. Since before I got into fighting professionally, I've always wanted to fight in the UFC at home in Canada, in front of just wild Canadian fans.
The crowd favorite hopes he can use the spotlight to build the sport across the country.
So I want Canadian MMA to really make a rise, and if I can play a part in that, especially on Saturday night, I'm more than happy to lead the charge or to help inspire the next generation.
I've fought up here a couple of times in my amateur days. I'm from the Pacific Northwest.
With no BC fighters on the card, Malott's opponent, Portland's Adam Fugit, says he's as close to a hometown fighter as it gets.
I go in getting booed, and I leave getting the applause and some respect.
Other fighters tasked with squaring off against Canadian opponents, equally unfazed by any potential hostility from the pro-Canada crowd.
I really wouldn't call Canada a hostile territory, dude. I fought in Brazil. That's a hostile territory. I fought in Toronto. I fought Theodoro in Toronto, and, they were super friendly. I don't really remember getting booed or them telling me I was going to die.
The event is headlined by Brazilian UFC champion Amanda Nunes, defending her title against Mexico's Irene Aldana. The picturesque backdrop behind their clash, not lost on either fighter.
I never knew Canada before,
I'm really excited to be here. It's beautiful.
The city is beautiful. I went for a good run too, and I was able to see the combination of the mountains and the water is like unbelievable.
Forget the rumble in the jungle. Come Saturday night, it's a free-for-all at the Seawall. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Be happy, just be myself. Pull no punches.
To mark Seniors Week in BC, we join a group of seniors who are sharing their best life advice, and they didn't hold back. That's coming up next. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. A new plus-size clothing swap offers Metro Vancouverites free second-hand clothing for sizes 14 and up. Organizers say they want to create a welcoming community for those who are often excluded from the fashion industry.
Yeah, so what we're doing here is we're doing a clothing swap. This is a swap specifically for people who are sizes 14 and up. This is our first one. We've actually gotten a lot of really good engagement on Instagram. A lot of people reaching out, just saying like it's really great to see this kind of space in Vancouver. Vancouver tends to be very small sizes, and it's hard to find plus size clothing for people in our community. The goal here is to be able to provide affordable clothing for people who are plus size. The issues we find in the plus size community is that we're all different shapes and sizes, and it's hard to find clothing that fits.
So it's impossible to find, not impossible, very hard to find plus size clothes in thrift stores, and the ones that are there are taken by people who are smaller bodied and used to like upcycle into something bigger, and so they'll take the bigger clothes to make themselves something tailored, and so we're left with hardly anything. And then the stores that we do have are really expensive, so yeah, it's hard to find anything. And especially if you're a bigger fat person, so I'm like a medium fat person, if you're bigger, then it's impossible. Oh my God, look at this. Brand new with tags. Obviously it looks amazing on me, right? Do I look fabulous or what?
We are almost at the end of Seniors Week in BC, so our Beneath Breach asked some older people to share some of their best life advice, from recommendations against a big wedding to regrets about turning down a date. They had plenty to say.
I'll be 87 in 5 weeks. Yeah, don't forget.
Make sure that you continue to exercise, to make sure that you stay flexible.
Be happy, just be myself. Pull no punches.
Opportunities and things happen
So deal with it, learn from that, and do the best that you can, because tomorrow is another day. And
do you have any regrets?
That my husband passed away so early, but that's nothing you have control over. More travel to more countries. I'm not prepared to travel at this stage of my life. I'm stuck right here in Burnaby. I might go to Vancouver.
I regret not working harder at school. Still, if I could go back, maybe I would do more for the talent that I have, maybe in the singing and all that.
My only regret was I turned it down almost 3 times in a month. And then I got to know her. We had 50 years, the most beautiful life you could ever expect.
Your happiest memory?
The day I got married, I eloped. Best thing I ever did.
Love that.
To the best man that I ever knew. Yeah.
What's the key to a happy marriage? Finding a partner.
I was married 57 years. People say, oh, you've got to compromise, and you truly do have to compromise.
Love, affection, he takes care of me, I take care of him. You have to love each other. Everything is fine.
Here is a shot of Ucluelet's lighthouse at sunset this evening. Coming up next, Johanna will have your full forecast.
It's a special occasion for Alec and Peggy Imrity. Special enough to break out the champagne.
Yeah, got the glasses. Okay.
Somebody dear to them is celebrating a birthday. Alec is a sculptor, and today his favorite masterpiece, The Girl in the Wetsuit at Stanley Park, is Sweet 16. And that calls for a toast. The Imrities can't help but be sentimental. The girl in the wetsuit is like one of the family.
She means so much to us. We love her.
It is my creations and my girl, after all.
But their girl wasn't always so highly thought of. In 1972, newspapers wanted to know why, on earth, a girl in a wetsuit. Art gallery director Tony Emery declared bronze statues were passé, silly. $30,000 for this? But plans went ahead, and 16 years ago today, the girl in the wetsuit became the girl in Stanley Park. Since then, she's endured wintry seas and engineers' pranks, wet t-shirts and rubber duckies. But today for the birthday girl, it's photos, birthday greetings, and a visit from old friends.
I hope she's there forever. Sweet 16, happy birthday.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
The Talking Stick Festival 2023 Summer Reverb celebrates National Indigenous History Month from June 1st to July 2nd. A variety of performances will wow audiences in film, theater, dance, and music. For more info and tickets, visit talkingstickfest.ca. And CBC British Columbia launches The Herb Original, a new podcast for Indigenous History Month. All episodes are available now on CBC Listen.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Well, Johanna, I am a big fan of the heat, but it was really nice to see a little bit more light rain today.
Yes, and to actually smell the rain. I don't know if you had a chance to breathe it in, but yeah, I love a good rain smell, especially after such a dry stretch. We need the rain right across the province, and I'll get to that in a moment, but Vancouver, over 30 days of less than 1 millimeter rain. We are tied for the longest stretch of rainless days in May and June, so finally breaking that today with rain falling since mid-morning. But this is the system bringing the rain both to the south coast, and it's getting it channeled up towards the northeast, where we do really need it. Getting some good rain for the fires in the northeast. Tumbler Ridge fire, seeing lightning along with that rain today, so some erratic winds. And you can see just how dry things have been both in the northeast, across central and even coastal sections with our fire danger rating map today. It's amazing what a little bit of rain will do. Seeing that rain move into the Kootenays yesterday, and already that's dropped fire danger back down to low and very low. This time of the year, though, and with how volatile our switches happen, we only get that low for a couple of days before things build back up, because it is dry starting this weekend. But some good rain coming to the province. You can see the darker greens, which includes parts of Metro Vancouver, 20 to 40 millimeters. We're probably talking closer to that 10 to 20 millimeter mark here in Metro Vancouver. But the system came in early and is staying a little later, so expect those showers for your Saturday. We're going to need a little more than just one day to really turn around our drought conditions. There's a look at the soil moisture content for May, the dark reds, all-time dryness. The rain for Metro Vancouver, again, lingering through our Saturday. I think we'll get the sun back for Sunday. Nice to see those rainy icons across so much of BC. Temperatures, Janella, also coming back down to seasonal for tomorrow. It's a bit of a mixed bag, and I think we could all use a bit of a mixed bag forecast at this point.
It was a little bit of a great relief, and
yes,
like you said, that freshness in the air that a little bit of rain brings.
We'll take it.
Really nice. Thanks, Johanna.
You're welcome.
That is your late news for this Friday. Thank you so much for watching. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/bc. Have a great night.